Your ABC News.
As our world changes, we'll keep you up to date with the latest information. News Talk KVNU 102 FM 610 AM.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by U&I Furniture. A 36-year-old Logan man with multiple convictions for theft and forgery has been sent to prison. Jose Mateo Trevino was ordered to serve 0 to 5 years after being told he had run out of chances. Trevino was sentenced in First District Court Monday morning. He had previously accepted another plea deal, pleading guilty to possession or use of a controlled substance, a third-degree felony. Trevino's criminal history dates back to October 2017, when he illegally possessed a firearm. It continued through May of 2018 when he was arrested for scamming victims out of their money. He would agree to do construction projects on the victims' homes or businesses. Then after collecting their payments, he would not finish the work and did not return calls when people started trying to track him down. Court records show in January 2019, Trevino was sentenced to serve 1 year in jail and then be placed on probation for 3 years. He was also ordered to complete a substance abuse assessment and all recommended counseling. According to agents with adult probation and parole, Trevino repeatedly failed to comply with probation agents and tried to flee the state. He also failed to appear for multiple court hearings, prompting several warrants to be filed for his arrest. Judge Angela Fonsbeck agreed that Trevino had, with the attorneys, that Trevino had suffered some significant events in his life recently. She said she had to sentence the defendant to prison, noting how there were 15 pending cases because he had repeatedly failed to follow court orders. KVNU News Time is 5:07. KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear, low in the low 60s. West to southwest winds after midnight tonight. Isolated showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon on Wednesday, high around 90. Chance of precipitation 20%. 20% chance of isolated storms Wednesday night, mostly cloudy, and then back to mostly sunny on Thursday. It's been to 89. It's 87 right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Northern Steel Buildings. Get a hold of their Cache Valley team to protect what's yours at northernsteelbuilding.com. Value from concept to construction. Call 435-677-7300.
We live in a great country. We live in a great valley with a lot to be thankful for. U&I Furniture wants to take a minute and say thank you for being such good neighbors and friends and customers. U&I features many brand names, including many American-made chairs by Southern Motion, Best, Franklin & Lane, Speed Queen appliances, and therapeutic mattresses, Legend brand TV consoles and entertainment centers. Find these American-made brand furniture products at the place where there's always a better buy, U&I Furniture, downtown Logan.
KBNU News Time is 5:08. A house in Eagle Mountain, Utah, was destroyed by a fire that started with an explosion in the garage Monday night. The home was deemed a total loss by Unified Fire Authority. It was engulfed by the time firefighters arrived, so their first priority was protecting the adjacent homes. All family members who lived there were able to escape unharmed or were already outside when the fire started. The house caught fire after the explosion in the garage happened around 8:15 p.m., according to Unified Fire. The exact source of the explosion is not yet known. And a suspect has been found guilty in connection to a deadly shooting from January 2021. Alex Mendoza, also known as Baby Alex, is accused of shooting and killing 28-year-old Emilio Salazar. Shooting happened at a party on California Avenue. On reports that a man had been shot, the court documents stated the victim was found in the carport area, bleeding from the head. On Friday, a jury found Mendoza guilty on 4 counts, including murder and possession of a firearm by a restricted person. He's now scheduled to be sentenced on October 20th. KBNU News Time is 5:09. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
When you struggle with low thyroid or autoimmune challenges, everyday activities can be hard to enjoy. Get more out of life with Red River Health and Wellness. Founded by Dr. Josh Red, chiropractic physician, Red River Health and Wellness is committed to your well-being. With a focus on non-pharmaceutical practices, they help patients manage autoimmune and thyroid conditions, including Hashimoto disease. Improve your quality of life. Call Red River Health and Wellness today, 855-55-RIVER, with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Finding comfort outdoors by upgrading your landscape is now easy and possible with the creative touch of Canyon Landscaping. Designed planting beds, landscape lighting, and paver patio upgrades will let you easily relax, entertain, and enjoy your home. Elegantly designed, professionally installed, on a budget, on time, guaranteed. Discover more at canyonlandscaping.com. Then call to schedule your free consultation. Call 752-3838 or go to canyonlandscaping.com. Canyon Landscaping. Look for the leaf.
Feels like Tuesday. Tuesday has no feel.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission:
to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Little setup here for some time we're going to spend with Mr. Craig Hislop. I'm so excited about this. If you've been following the images and more coming back from the James Webb Space Telescope, it's honestly just been amazing. It's allowed us to see things that we've seen before in a different way. It's allowed us to see things we've never seen before. Just this week, NASA released, this was taking data collected by the telescope and turning it into sound. So this is, basically data of radiation levels, things like that. But it can be turned into, what it might sound like out there if you could actually get a microphone in a black hole. Man, was that creepy. Bill heard it as well. It just, it was like something right out of a horror sci-fi movie. But just really cool stuff. And it's all happening very quickly. And, of course, Utah State University, like most research universities, glued to this one and have their own plans with some of the theoretical data, with some of the not previously theoretical, now no longer theoretical data coming back. This is going to supercharge physics research in a way that hasn't happened in a generation. So it's just really cool to see. And our own Craig Hislop had a chance to sit down and talk with Utah State University's Dr. Maria Rodriguez about, well, exactly this. Here's Craig.
Well, thank you, Jason. All over the world, there are physicists. I should probably say there are experimental physicists, and there are theoretical physicists. And Dr. Maria Rodriguez of the USU faculty is a member of the latter group. And for our discussion today, Dr. Rodriguez, first of all, we're asking you to explain the difference between the two.
Sure. Thank you, Craig, for having me today. It's exciting that you have a theoretical physicist on the show. So the difference between an experimentalist and a theoretical physicist is basically that we cannot get Nobel Prizes. And the reason for that, which is the award that, is most recognized as, scientists or in the world, mostly because the models that we create as a theoretical physicist are the first steps into setting up an experiment. And so usually what we do is we come up with models, theoretical models, computational models for systems, physical systems in this case, that then astronomers, astrophysicists, and experimental physicists would go into a lab or observations, in nature to contrast these models. And so they will say whether these models are valid or not valid. Does that sound kind of what you were thinking?
I think so, yeah. We invited you also to visit with you today because images that are emerging this summer from the James Webb Space Telescope are shedding new light on black holes, these vast voids of unrecoverable mystery. Apparently, these holes are actually great amount of matter packed in a very small area. And I'm quoting Dr. Rodriguez's writings now when I say that. So what have you learned from these new images this summer?
Right. So why we're interested in general in all the images from the James Webb Space Telescope, so it's a telescope out in space, is because it's the first time that humans can access some light, and the light is infrared. So we don't see it with the eyes. Okay, we cannot capture with the human eyes this light. It's infrared light. And this light that comes to us is captured by the telescopes and measures the structures of the universe when they were very, very new. And so we can still capture them because when they happen, they're very far away and it takes a very long time to reach us, this infrared light. And so we recover this infrared light and sort of can recast what happened early in the development of the universe. For me, this is super exciting because I work on models for black holes, theoretical models of black holes. I'm solving Einstein's theory of general relativity with black holes in them. But in particular, it tells us how these black holes help in developing the universe and the galaxies. And I don't know if you probably know, but our galaxy, it's called the Milky Way, has a supermassive black hole in the center of our galaxy. And we've seen that in the news. There was a picture of the black hole in the center of our galaxy. Well, we think every galaxy in the universe has this huge monster, say, in the center. And this object in the center sort of balances this movements of the stars and this cosmic dance that we are doing around this supermassive black hole. So the James Webb images will tell me or help me in thinking about whether the models that I develop with my colleagues, I'm not the only one, there's an international, web of people doing and working on this, are successful or could be used for this, and maybe we see new features that we need to create and incorporate in this model.
Mm-hmm. In the same context, what are white holes? What are wormholes?
Mm-hmm. So Einstein's theory of general relativity is 100 years old, and it has a lot of solutions. There are solutions that are the stars, there are solutions that are black holes, and it has other solutions that are white holes or wormholes. These solutions are different in nature in that we can find them as solutions of Einstein's theory of general relativity, but they're not going, at least we don't have any hints that they're being produced out there in the sky. So a black hole, we think of an object that is completely black, and whenever we cross an area, we fall into the black hole and we cannot come out. The white hole is exactly the opposite. It's a region of the space where everything is coming out from it. So this is kind of the yin-yang of that object, the white hole. And what we think, and there could be a solution possible in general relativity, is that one could enter a black hole and go through a wormhole. This is like, we always invent these very interesting names in physics that connects to a white hole. And so we could come out in another region of space. So a wormhole is sort of a connection between two regions of space, space-time, really.
You wrote once, theoretical physicists need to share their work through writing and through travel. Why is that so?
Well, I think it is very important that we share not only with scientists, but also with the public and in schools. And we need to actively do that. We usually write scientific papers, which we submit to scientific journals and publish. But we need to also travel to get information at conferences and connect with other groups as well. I think it always brings both our knowledge to others and the knowledge of these other groups to us. So it's a very rich, interaction.
We're talking with Dr. Maria Rodriguez of the USU faculty, and that I'm going to kind of term that's part one of our interview. Part two now.
Sounds great. Mm-hmm.
About 5 years ago, while you were attending the International Center for Theoretical Cosmology Conference in England, you met Stephen Hawking. And as I understand it, during that conference, July of 2017, you and a few others were invited to a small celebration at his home. It was in honor of his 75th birthday. The invitation read, "An Evening with Friends." And could you tell us about that remarkable experience?
Yes, sure. So I was attending a birthday party for Hawking in Cambridge University. And before attending there, I was already a faculty here. I got a message from the secretary to be invited to his home. And so that was the experience. We went an afternoon to his house, and he was there, and they moved the tables and had the food ready for us. It wasn't a very big gathering in terms of waiters. There was nothing like that. It was very homey, and there were around maybe 40, 50 other faculties, international faculties, and it was one of these things that happen and in the life, and you cannot pay for it, if that makes sense. For me, it was very special because one of the reasons I'm originally from Argentina. And one of the reasons I started doing physics was because I read one of Stephen's books up for public outreach. And so it was very, very special and very memorable. I do have still a connection, a very big connection with Cambridge University. I work very closely with Malcolm Perry, who was a student of Stephen, and I went to Cambridge 2 weeks ago, for example. So the office that Hawking has is still there with, the drawings and everything. So he is still with us. It's not just the meeting there. And I think his legacy of public outreach for science is amazing. And so.
Did you know in advance of attending the conference that you would have that opportunity?
I did only 2 days ago. The conference was big. It was around, I would say, 150 to 200 invitees in general, but only a set of faculty members were invited to his home. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't the entire conference that was attending that. And I did that. I did receive the email. And at that time, I asked my husband if he wanted to come with me. And he said no. And I think he just, regrets now not having come with me. But, that we know after the fact.
Wasn't it true Stephen Hawking was probably writing about black holes back in the 60s and 70s?
Yes. Stephen, as you mentioned, traveling, Stephen was a very active scientist, and he traveled a lot. And something that was very interesting was that he liked competition very much. So he had traveled quite a few places, including Russia, including Princeton, and there were a few scientists there that he always competed with. And he overheard something about these ideas of black holes. And not just that, he set up the equations necessary for the black holes so that we can measure something physical about them, which is the temperature of the black hole. So black holes do have temperatures as stars do. And that is one of the things that we haven't really yet measured. We have a formula that we use that he developed. And he was doing some of these things, not just thinking about black holes, but how do we characterize them? How do we find physics that we can test their existence? So yes.
Well, I saw a quote from you back then, and it kind of relates to what you just said, that his really innovative theories at the time had yet to be tested. Is that still true?
Yes, it is true. So some of the ideas. So he was also a theoretical physicist, and some of these papers that he wrote are still, in being testing period. And so this is why James Webb and the Event Horizon Telescope here that NSF funds are very interesting, and all the gravitational waves from LIGO, because they're going to help us test these models. And yes, so there are many predictions that we have for black holes in particular that are going to come from Stevens' grounding papers in the years to come, in the next 20 to 30 years.
Yeah. About 8 months later, he died at his home in Cambridge. You wrote once that he wrote gorgeous papers with spectacular physics, but could explain very complex issues in ways that everybody could understand. Yes,
exactly. Those I recommend even for the general public. There's some papers that he had this power of explaining this very complicated equations and methods in a way that that everyone could understand. And so they're very short papers. They're not very long, which is also amazing. But he has this, as he did in his public outreach talks, he had this amazing view of what to say and in which form, so that people could really understand everything that he was wanting to communicate in them.
Well, Dr. Rodriguez, we wanted to just talk to you about these images that the Webb Space Telescope has brought back. But when I had found this later on about that, must have been an unbelievable meeting with him, I just wanted you to tell us about it. It's just fascinating to get to, even for a little while, get to know that man.
Yes, we can meet people, and those are magical times, and they leave an imprint, right? Always in where they were and how they they created things which was amazing. I think his legacy is beyond just the physics. It's also trying to reach out to a generations, not one generation, several generations of people. And I think he inspired not just me doing physics, but other people as well. So yes, it was a fascinating meeting. Yes.
Well, I appreciate you take some time to explain that to us, but just to talk about your work, and we wish you the best, and we would hope that you're always at Utah State. That may not be true, but we really enjoy having you here.
Okay, very good. I encourage everyone that wants to come to our science talks at USU to check our website.
Yes.
We have also observation nights at the physics department every week. And if you have any questions, just email me about black holes. I'm happy to talk more about that. Thank you, Craig, very much for the interview.
Let's get back to Jason and Bill now.
Thank you, Craig. And Dr. Rodriguez, it's amazing. I have a thing for this stuff, and we're on a whole different plane at this point with all of this. And so great to hear, from an actual researcher that's going to be taking all of this that we're learning from this new technology and then plugging it right back into the research engine And yeah, it's just going to be exciting to see where we go from here. One other space-related thing to tack on to the end of this as well, we also had, for the first ever, a lengthy video clip from one of the Mars rovers was also released this week. So you can actually see...
No sound on that.
No sound, yeah. But you can see a panoramic scroll of Mars. And I'll be honest with you, I'd be hard-pressed to... I'm not a conspiracy theorist. It looks a lot like the middle of nowhere, Nevada. We'll be back right after this.
Cache Valley. Close to it all, but just far enough away. We've always had our own way of doing things, and we're proud of it. And our transit district is paving the way to keep that spirit alive. CVTD is forging the path to help fuel the economy, from helping your neighbor get to work to clearing up the commute time traffic. We drive the economy, and CVTD drives us. Visit cvtdbus.org for service information.
Wednesday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We've got the Florida primary results coming in. Who will Ron DeSantis' matchup be as governor in Florida? Plus, New York and Oklahoma to react to, as well as we continue to move in the direction of the midterms. Dr. Marty Makary will be with us. What is the legacy of Dr. Anthony Fauci now that he is stepping down? What should be occurring with COVID as we move into the fall? We will discuss all that and more. Come hang with us, Wednesday edition.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
As you get older, it's more important than ever to eat healthy. But that can be hard for those of us who are retired and living on a fixed income, especially during COVID-19. A friend told me about benefitscheckup.org. It's a free website from the National Council on Aging, and it's helped millions of older Americans pay for healthy food. Maybe it can help you. Benefitscheckup.org. You've earned this. This message is supported by the Administration for Community Living.
A bit off the clock, so we'll get back on the clock here. On the other side of the news, some headlines around the state. A judge says the lawsuit over gerrymandering here in Utah can move forward. That was big news today. Disappointment to the Attorney General's office, but welcome news to those suing. We'll talk about what this means going forward. First, though, a look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time 5:32. The news brought to you by Northern Steel Buildings. A 36-year-old Logan man is headed to prison for molesting and raping 2 young girls while babysitting them at his home 2 years ago. Nelson Neves was ordered to serve 2 concurrent terms of 10 years to life after prosecutors called his actions repulsive. Neves was sentenced in First District Court Monday morning. He previously pleaded guilty to 2 counts of aggravated sexual abuse of a child, a first-degree felony. Defense attorney Michael McGinnis said his client had no prior criminal history before being arrested and had served in the military. He explained, though, there wasn't much good to highlight about the crimes except for Neves' willingness to take responsibility. Judge Angela Fonsbeck ordered Neves to serve the 2 sentences at the same time, but said she would recommend credit for the nearly 2 years already served. She explained that it will be up to the Utah State Board of Pardons and Parole to determine just how long he is incarcerated. A 9-year-old boy is in extremely critical condition after being pulled from a truck that rolled into the water at a Summit County lake Monday afternoon. The incident began when a family was loading kayaks into a vehicle at the Smith and Morehouse Reservoir around 5:20 p.m., according to Captain Andrew Wright with the Summit County Sheriff's Office. Wright told KUTV the vehicle slipped into the water on a boat launch ramp with 3 children still inside, 2 9-year-old boys and a 2-year-old girl. One of the 9-year-old boys was able to get out of the submerged truck and swim to safety. A family member managed to dive into the truck and free the girl. A nearby kayaker heard the calls for help and freed the other 9-year-old boy after several attempts of diving into the truck, which was under 20 feet of water. That boy was taken by medical helicopter to Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake City in extremely critical condition. The Summit County Sheriff's Office indicated the area is remote and cell phone service was limited. And a federal judge says Idaho's near total abortion ban appears to have a serious conflict with a federal law governing emergency health care treatment in Medicare-funded hospitals. U.S. District Judge B. Lynn Windmill heard arguments in a lawsuit brought by the U.S. Department of Justice against the state of Idaho on Monday. The Justice Department says Idaho's law violates the federal law, which requires hospitals to give stabilizing treatment to people experiencing medical emergencies, even if that treatment involves an abortion. Attorneys for the state and the legislature have argued that the state has the right to criminally prohibit abortions. Windmill says he'll decide by today whether the abortion ban should be paused while the lawsuit proceeds. KBNU News Time is 5:35.
We might all agree that a vacation to Vegas is good, but Hawaii is better. Same thing when you're building. Wood is good, but metal is better. If you're considering a new building for your farm or business, let Northern Steel Building show you the benefits of metal. Metal is stronger with little or no maintenance, and it doesn't burn. Find out how affordable a metal building really is by visiting northernsteelbuilding.com. That's northernsteelbuilding.com, or call 435-677-7300.
KBNU weather tonight, mostly clear skies, low in the low 60s, isolated showers and thunderstorms back in the forecast. Afternoon on Wednesday, high near 90. It's been to 89. It's 87 right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Logan Extermination. If you have a grasshopper problem at your home, you need help now. Call Logan Extermination, and they will kill off those nasty bugs before they destroy your plants. 435-752-8450. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Your local radio stations are here for you. No subscriptions or monthly fees necessary. We're here to give you the news, weather, and traffic you need, and the music you love. But if the foreign-owned record labels get their way, it could stop the music. They want Congress to force radio stations to pay them more money, simply to play their music. Don't let radio go silent. Text LOCAL to 52886 and tell Congress to protect local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Believe it or not, a high-quality furnace air filter will reduce the amount of dust and pollen carelessly floating around in your home. John at the Duct Hunter says always buy a higher quality air filter. If you can see through a filter, you probably should pass on it. If you're not sure about which furnace air filter to buy, give John a call. He only carries the highest quality, which will reduce the dust and pollen in your home. For a free consultation, call the Duct Hunter at 770-4813.
We are the Duct Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duct Hunter.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
You love them enough to do anything for them.
Mom, I need to be wiped. Coming.
Including checking NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KBNU's For the People. Thanks again to Kathleen Howell for taking some time with us this hour to explain the difficult to explain, how property values are assessed, the process behind that, which has been the same for a really long time. All of this due to some confusion in the airwaves and in the Twitter and Facebook spheres over 4 cities here in the Valley, 90 total statewide, that are looking at changes to their property tax budgets. And the way it sounds usually is, well, your property taxes are going up, and people want to know why. Well, part of that, as the county assessor explained, is this mechanism for valuation. If you missed that, of course, you can always listen to every episode of For the People, both hours each day, via our podcast using the Podcastics service. Simply search for Podcastics and KVNU's For the People. A simple Google search will take you right to our feed where you can subscribe and never miss an episode. And that episode, or that interview with Cache County Assessor Kathleen Howell, should be up later this evening. So also keep an eye out for more updates on this as the cities continue to hold their public hearings over the next couple of weeks. Wellsville and Hyde Park have already done theirs. And there are 2 more coming up this week, in fact. So dates on those posted on our Facebook page. Coming up, high school football update. Yeah, it's that time of year. It's already schedule posted at CacheValleyDaily.com, but I'll run through where you can hear the games, including one here on KVNU this week. That's coming up in just a bit. In the news this week regarding Utah at large, Wallet Hub. Wallet Hub is a favorite of Utah lawmakers. They do these economic prosperity and best cities to live in type surveys, and they get some criticism, deservedly. Their studies are usually pretty simple. They look at some key indicators, key metrics that they determine are the most valuable, and then they come up with these rankings of places where people are the most happy, places where people's dollar goes the furthest, and so it's somewhat scientific, but it's not something that I've been critical of lawmakers for putting too much on these Wallet Hub surveys because they're simplistic. They're intended to be. So Wallet Hub, of course, is an investment and banking review group. Is a somewhat decent way to describe them. You can look them up if you want to. This week, though, lawmakers absolutely mum about a new Wallet Hub study published. The unfortunate news in this study is that Utah, out of all the states, ranked absolute worst when it comes to women's equality. This is something that we've talked about before with our guests, frequent guest on the show, Dr. Susan Madsen of the Utah Women in Leadership Project at Utah State University, including a couple of weeks ago we had a chance to speak with a BYU professor who works with Utah Women in Leadership, and they actually went through statewide data on sexual assault and rape, and some bad news for Utah there as well. This Wallet Hub survey focuses entirely on equality and rights, basically. So Utah was dead last countrywide in 3 main categories. Dead last in education and health access for women. 48th in the nation in workplace environment for women, and 42nd in the nation for political empowerment. So near the bottom in the 3 key indicators that Wallet Hub says are that what they use to determine where women receive the most equal treatment. That is, again, workplace environments, education and health access, and political empowerment. The state of Utah was also, unfortunately, dead last when it came to income gap between men and women. That's not new, but it hasn't improved, this survey shows, since the last one, and the one before that, and the one before that. So, the survey breaks things down quite a bit, talking about work hours and educational attainment through employers, which is a common thing these days, and even took a look at bachelor and advanced degree holders, associate's degree holders. And according to the study, the U.S. is ranked 27th in the world regarding gender equality. The study's top state for women's rights in this study was New Mexico. Nevada, California, Vermont, and New York were the other top states. But Utah, again, ranking dead last in access to education opportunities and health care for women, 48th in the nation for workplace environment for women, and political empowerment, number of women in elected offices and holding key positions within city, county, and state leadership, 42nd in the nation. So not good news. If you'd like to see it, I've linked to the survey. WalletHub.com is their website. And this is the 2022 Best and Worst States for Women's Equality. survey done by Wallet Hub, and you can see the full breakdown and even a description of how the survey was done. In other news today from Utah's political world, a judge has ruled that Utah's gerrymandering lawsuit will move forward. Attorneys for the state had sought to delay this lawsuit until the Supreme Court decides if state courts can hear redistricting challenge, which is actually a topic for another day because that's a scary question, actually, before the court. The question before the court that the state of Utah was saying this lawsuit should wait to hear on is a question for the Supreme Court on whether there is any federal jurisdiction over elections at all. And the state of Utah signaling that they hope the court rules that there isn't. Dangerous stuff, very dangerous stuff, and built on a kind of a crackpot constitutional theory. But that aside, a judge here in Utah has said, no, the lawsuit will move forward. The lawsuit alleges that Utah's newest congressional maps passed last year are unconstitutional and gerrymandered, i.e. the borders were drawn for political reasons, not what redistricting is supposed to be about, which is representation and keeping communities together. The lawsuit points mainly at a very hard-to-justify split of Salt Lake County. There is a Four Corners region now in Salt Lake County, in some of the poorest areas of the county, in fact, in which 4 congressional districts come together at an intersection in the middle of several neighborhoods. It's difficult to explain why that made sense. Lawmakers did not even try this year. At least in the previous redistricting process, they came up with some excuses. This time they're just like, nah, that's what we decided to do. So the lawsuit was launched against the maps, and the judge today ruled that it would go forward without delay. Again, attorneys for the state had asked 3rd Judicial District Judge Diana Gibson to delay the lawsuit until the Supreme Court ruled on an upcoming case out of North Carolina, in which our legislators there argued that the state Supreme Court had, quote, no authority to throw out the North Carolina maps for being gerrymandered. They didn't argue they weren't gerrymandered. They said, yes, they were gerrymandered, and the state Supreme Court should have no ruling over that. The plaintiffs in this Utah case, though, representing the League of Women Voters of Utah, who we spoke with in Hour 1, and Mormon Women for Ethical Government, a very old group here in Utah, been around for about 20 years, they mounted the lawsuit together, and they argued in court that waiting for the U.S. Supreme Court ruling, potentially coming as late as 2023, June, would mean that Utah's lawsuit would not be resolved before the 2024 elections. So, again, in 2018, voters created, via the ballot initiative process, a nonpartisan redistricting commission to draw the maps based on 2020 census numbers. Lawmakers tossed those maps, ignored all of the commission's recommendations, and drew their own. The lawsuit, once the legislature ignored the commission's recommendations and drew its own maps, the lawsuit argues they put political preference ahead of all else. We'll see where this goes, but again, a judge today ruled that in this lawsuit, claiming that roughly 30 to 35% of residents in these areas are carved into different districts for no reason other than political concerns by the Republican majority in the legislature. A judge today ruled that argument will be heard. So, no date was set on this, but it is expected to be before the end of the year. And we'll see how the courts finally land. If you'd like more details on the lawsuit, I've posted a copy of it on our Facebook page. You can download it as well at facebook.com/KVNUFTP, and we'll be back with more right after this.
My name is Dr. Brandon Prevey, and I love being a dentist. I work with Drs. Curtis Taylor, Anthony Larson, and Paul Harris. When people ask where our office is, I actually have 2 answers. First, I spend part of the week at Logan Dental Associates, and then second, I spend the other part at Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond. Both locations are a full-service dental office and can take care of everyone in the family. Call or go online and make your appointment with the offices most convenient for you. Logan Dental Associates in Logan or Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond.
Back
to school means back to massive laundry piles. Get a washer that can handle your busy laundry schedule. Head to Daryl's today for a deal worth your time. This is Jay from Daryl's Appliance, and we have a GE front-load laundry pair with a 4.8 cubic foot washer and a 7.8 cubic foot dryer for only $17.96 for the pair. Hurry! Stock is limited. See store for details. Daryl's Appliance Service and Sales West on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
At Red River Health and Wellness Center, we utilize non-pharmaceutical approaches to help patients with challenging autoimmune and thyroid conditions. And because each person is unique, we design custom care plans that focus on the individual. Our goal is to improve health, well-being, and quality of life. We work in conjunction with your prescribing physician for an optimal outcome. Call Red River Health and Wellness at 855-55-RIVER, with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
What are customers saying about Top Job Asphalt?
Professional, prompt, courteous.
Knowledgeable, and easy to work with. My job was performed with minimal impact to our daily lives.
Very fast and efficient, as well as a great price.
Looks good and lasts.
We started to do it ourselves and quickly realized that it's much cheaper to hire Top Job.
Anything Top Job could have done better?
Nothing. I was pleased with the work.
Totally satisfied.
Feed my horses? Well, you could ask. Call Top Job Asphalt for your asphalt maintenance needs. 764-0451.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. This Friday on the movie show, a few days away, we're going to be talking about Movie Pass. Yeah, believe it or not, Movie Pass is back, or back-ish. Movie Pass announced via a social media post and email to previous subscribers that they were relaunching. They were going to make this a thing and try and bring the service back. What that means, I have no idea. No one seems to, but they've set a date for previous subscribers to get on a wait list. This will officially launch Labor Day, but the wait list begins this week, and then every person who gets on the wait list will have 10 invitations they can send out to friends and family, and then that is the only way to subscribe. So we're going to be talking about what this means going forward, how it might work, and how it could finally, after a few years' delay, obviously, bankruptcy and more, disrupt the theater experience in a way that might draw more people in. So that's coming up on Friday's movie show with Andy Morgan here in the studio, but the announcement came today. I wanted to throw it out there. Before we're out of time today, I wanted to run through a couple of things for listeners. First up, we've got a lot of questions about this. Yes, high school football is back, specifically the Rocky Mountain Kickoff happening this week up at Merlin Olsen Stadium there on campus. And yes, the answer to the second question we're getting a lot of from listeners, we will be broadcasting it live, and video will be available at CashValleyDaily.com. So here's just a quick rundown of the schedule. Thursday evening, Preston will take on South Sevier at the Rocky Mountain Kickoff there at Merlin Olsen Field at 6:30 p.m. Logan squares up with Bonneville, Idaho, at the Rocky Mountain Kickoff at 8:30 p.m. same night. Our own Jason Walker of Full Court Press and Josh Anderson will be calling the game, adding color and commentary right here on KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, and live video shown again on CashValleyDaily.com. Something new we're doing this year as well is our games will be archived just minutes after the game concludes. So if you can't watch it as it actually happens at 8:30, the video of the game will be available minutes after the game ends, also at CashValleyDaily.com. So again, here on KVNU Thursday evening, here there are two games there happening at Merlin Olsen Field for the Rocky Mountain Kickoff. Preston v. South Sevier at 6:30, and then Logan v. Bonneville, Idaho, at the Rocky Mountain Kickoff at 8:30. Up there at Merlin Olsen Field, and we'll be broadcasting that one again live starting at 8:30 at 610 AM, 102.1 FM, and live video on CashValleyDaily.com. Friday's football schedule: Bear River at Highland at 7 p.m. With the game, let's see who's calling that one. Clint Payne and Jardy Nelson. That will be broadcast on 104.9 The Ranch with live video at CashValleyDaily.com. That's at 7 p.m. Friday. Skyview takes on Rigby, Idaho, also at 7 p.m. Hurricane John Newbold and Rex Davis, funny guy, will be calling that one, and that will be 7 p.m. Friday night on 106.9 FM at 1390 AM, The Fan, and live video again at CashValleyDaily.com. Replay available shortly after. Green Canyon at Park City at 7 p.m. with Craig Hislop and John Russell calling that one. That is 7 p.m. Friday evening, Green Canyon at Park City, broadcasting live on 100.9 Light FM here at the radio group, and live video at CashValleyDaily.com. And Mountain Crest at Box Elder at 7 p.m. also with Jake Ellis and John Olson calling 107.7 KLZX with live video shown on CashValleyDaily.com. That's at 7 p.m. Friday night as well. And finally, Ridgeline at Snow Canyon at 8 p.m. Friday evening with Fox Sports Southern Utah providing the play-by-play on that one. That will broadcast live on 104.5 The Ranch and live video again at CashValleyDaily.com. with the replay of the game up shortly after. So Thursday and Friday evening, full football schedules broadcasting on all of our stations here, and each and every game, live video and archive video afterwards available at CashValleyDaily.com. And there's your football lineup for those asking. And finally, wrapping things up here on the show today, we talked about it earlier in the hour with Craig Hislop and Dr. Rodriguez from Utah State University, discussing these new images and other data coming back from the James Webb Telescope, allowing us to see and learn more about black holes than ever before. And, of course, there was this audio NASA released this week, a really spooky audio clip of recorded waves of pressure and radiation and more. This data put together and translated into sound by NASA and released this week, just thrown out there into the world like it wasn't going to just put goosebumps on every arm out there. Since we talked about it, listeners said, wait, what? So, yeah, we found it here. And, well, a little background on this first. Of course, space is a vacuum. There is no sound. So this is not, if you put a microphone in a black hole, this is not what you'd hear. But the data we know what radiation can sound like. We know that because of the pressure near and within a black hole, there is actually sound there. So this is what you would hear if you could get a microphone into, which you can't, into a black hole, taking the data that was collected by the telescope and turning it into sound waves. It's absolutely fascinating. If you want to know more about the James Webb Telescope and its development, USU's role in that, and how long NASA's been working on this, it's amazing. But just to clear it up, NASA, with the audio when they released it today, said that there's a misconception that there's no sound in space. It originates because space is a vacuum. Sound waves don't travel through a vacuum. But a galaxy cluster, for example, NASA said, has so much gas that it actually does make a sound. It can be documented. It can be recorded. Actual sounds, though, are usually way outside the range of human hearing, a range at 57 octaves below middle C, which we can't hear. So, and other sounds that can be, visible X-rays that actually will make a sound when they hit recording equipment. So NASA took this emitted sound of pressure, radiation, and more from a black hole collected by the telescope, scaled it up so that it could actually be heard by the human ear, and then, as I said, just sort of put it out there. Just put it out there for the world to experience. And here for you is that same experience. The first ever time in history, the sound of a black hole was released by NASA. And, like I said, without any kind of warning for the rest of us, they just put it out there and said, hey, everybody, enjoy. So here it is, the sound of a black hole. Yeah, that's not creepy at all, right? Enjoy your Tuesday evening, everyone. That's what a black hole sounds like. But seriously, enjoy your Tuesday evening. That is our time for today. Appreciate everyone for joining us. Please join us tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. for another episode of For the People. We'll take two on speaking with County Assessor Kathleen Howell on how property values are valued here in Cache Valley to help explain some of the changes you're going to see on your property taxes this year. We'll talk about the process, which, by the way, hasn't changed. Everything around it has. This one hasn't. That's tomorrow on the program. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.